went on to win the title. So keep that in mind as we head into tomorrow night. Antoine, what is the biggest key to tomorrow's game?
This is such a tough question because you want to kind of come in on both teams, but I would go with the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns is going to have to, you're going to have to try to control the glass. They're going to have to, they can't continue to give up 17 offensive rebounds. They can't let, Giannis and Brook Lopez, them guys have their way inside, Bobby Portis. So they're going to do a better job of trying to control the glass, which is going to be very difficult because Phoenix is a small team, so they're not a very big team. And then the obvious is Chris Paul. He has to be a lot better. Not necessarily concerned with the turnovers. I'm concerned with the turnovers in certain situations. You don't want these turnovers to come late in games. They expect Chris Paul to be great late in games. I'm expecting this game to be very close. It's going to be, probably a nail biter. Chris Paul has to make the right play and get them the right shot. It cannot be a turnover. So those are the two things that kind of stood out to me for Phoenix. For Milwaukee, Holiday has to show up. Giannis and Middleton have been great this series, but Holiday has been really inconsistent to me on the offensive end. If you're going to shoot the ball 20 times, you got to be better than 4 for 20, especially on the road. You're going to have to try to show up for this team to have a chance to win. So I'm looking for an exciting Game 5 by both teams. I still like the Bucks in 7, but it's just too many variables to go for these teams to pick what's going to be one key to the game.
So I'm going to steal a word from Monty Williams and talk about playing with force. The Bucks are doing it and the Suns aren't. To the point where Nick Wright has used the style of play that the Suns use to get buckets as an insult. They're like, they're a finesse team. It's kind of like it's a shot. They're a finesse little team. It's just kind of, it feels like you're hurting their feelings.
Jump shooting too.
I know, but it feels like you're hurting their feelings. I want them to play with force. Okay, so I'm going to show you 2 graphics so you can respond. The first one is the Bucks are like, we'll play with force if you guys aren't going to. The amount of points that the Bucks are scoring in the paint off of dunks and layups. First rounders, 30%. Then they're like, we'll go down a little bit. But now we're at 34%. They just realized that they can brutalize this team and they're making it happen. Now I want to show you a stat from my buddy Kirk Goldsberry. Shout out to Kirk. Dunks and layups. Giannis, guess what? He's on the Bucks. Ayton, Lopez is on the Bucks. Holiday's on the Bucks. Middleton's on the Bucks. There seems to be an element, Nick, here of bullying the Suns. And I feel like, I know we can talk about the strategy. I think just mentally, the Suns need to come to like, you know what? We're not going to get bullied anymore. I'm going to throw as many lobs as I have to throw to DeAndre Ayton to get him a big dunk to sort of set the tone. So I want to see the Suns play with force, Nick.
Yeah, I with respect, Wildes, you're asking them to do something that they don't do. They were 29th in the league in free throw rate this year. They're dead last in the playoffs in free throws. And why am I bringing up free throws? Because where do you get fouled? Going to the rim. Like DeAndre Ayton, who is their biggest, strongest guy, do you know how many free throws he averages a game? 2. And that's an aberration. His whole NBA career, playoffs, regular season, not a year where he's ever averaged 3 free throws a game. The Bucks are the bigger, stronger, more physical team, which is why, A, it is incumbent upon Phoenix that Ayton plays well. It's not a shocker that Ayton's best game was Game 1, which was their best win. Game 3, where they lost, he's in foul trouble. In Game 4, he only got, what was he, 3 for 9 from the field? I know he had a bunch of rebounds. That's because somebody on Phoenix has to rebound the basketball. He didn't get enough touches, had 0 trips to the line. The other element, and Antoine mentioned this, and I think it's interesting, is we all thought, even those of us that picked the Bucks, well, close games late, that favors Phoenix. Or does it? Let me show you a shocking statistic. Clutch baskets in a postseason last 25 years. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh, my God, is that age 21 and age 22 LeBron? It is. He was clutch from the very first time he was in the playoffs. But that's not what we're talking about. Tied with LeBron is Chris Middleton this postseason. So it wasn't just what he did in Game 4. He's been doing it all year. And I do wonder, Brandon, if right now, if Game 5 comes down, is a close game down the stretch, Which team actually is more confident? Again, a little recency bias here.
Right.
But one guy saw their general fall down literally, and the other guy has seen their second best player all postseason do that. So I think Chris Middleton will play well. Again, I also have picked Bucks in 7, which means they probably lose game 5.
Yep.
But I think the idea that close games favor the Suns, I'm not as sure of that anymore.
Listen, you're one of the best in the world at understanding the big picture and breaking down the entire game, and you can go from one year to the next. I'm going to lean into the KISS technique. What is the KISS technique? Keep it simple, stupid. I learned that earlier in my career, and I'm going to do it right here. The Suns are the better team, point blank, period. They have the better coach. So is it Bud or is it Monty? Come on, it's not even close. Now, I do like the adjustment Bud made last game, putting Drew Holiday on CP3 and having him pick him up full court. I like that adjustment. You saw the impact that had on the game and on CP3 and that team. But they have the better coach. They have the better point guard. The point guard is not going to turn the ball over 5 times again. It's just not happening. I just can't see it happening. You are a legend. You can't implode in the finals. You've been waiting 16 years for this moment. And they also have the better trio. So Twan, if they have the better coach, if they have the better point guard, and they have the better trio, then what are we talking about here? Look, Nick is talking about they have the bigger team, they're more physical. That doesn't always win. What wins is who's better, who's more efficient. They had 2 bad games, all right, on the road, and now they're back home. They're going to get the job done.
Well, I'm not going to go into who's the better coach. I think Monty Williams is a great motivator. I'm not in the locker. I haven't been in the locker room enough to see what Bud does. But Bud has made some great decisions, especially at home, playing Bobby Portis more, Jeff Teague. He's done a good job in incorporating his bench. So I'm not going to say which coach is making the best moves right now. But what I'm going to say is Game 5 is about, this is the reason why you pay certain guys $35, $40 million. This is the reason why they separate themselves for these moments. So this game is about Giannis and it's about Chris Paul. This is Game 5. This is taking advantage of this series. Phoenix has worked all season long to put themselves in a position to take care of home court, to have home court advantage. They got to take advantage of this. They cannot afford to let the Milwaukee Bucks come in there and get a win. But I just want to go back to what I said. This is about the superstars. This